welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to talk about the H1B Visa, the H1B lottery, and what are the options if you don't get selected for the H1B lottery. Okay, so I will split today's content into two parts. So the first part is for people who don't know what H1B is. It will basically cover like what is H1B visa and how do you get an H1B visa, and how many times or how many chances do you have to enter the H1B lottery. And the second part will be people who already know about H1B visa. So it will cover more about like what happens if you just don't get a lottery, and what other options that you could choose. And also I will share my own experience as the unlucky person who didn't get selected for 3 times. Oh, it's 4 times now. Yeah, I'm like very unlucky. Okay, so let's get started. So first, what is H1B visa? So I Google online, and this is what the Wikipedia says. So the H1B is a visa in the United States under the Immigration and Nationality Act, Section 101, that allows U.S. employers to temporarily employ foreign workers in specialty occupations. So in a simpler words, it's basically a work visa for some occupations such as engineers, doctors, and lawyers. It will be up to the US government to decide what are these occupations. And going into the second question, how do you get an H1B visa? So basically, the most important thing is that you need to be qualified. And I will put a link to the website of, I think it's like USCIS, and there will be like a list of qualifications for this type of visa. And secondly, you need to be hired by a US employer who is willing to sponsor you. So this is very important because I think most of the employers won't be able to sponsor you. Only for like larger companies, they will be able to sponsor H1B visa for you. And so the last thing, and this is the part that I failed, is that it's like every year USCIS selects randomly from those who completed the H1B application. Yes, they will select randomly. So it's basically a lottery, and that's the reason why it's called H1B visa lottery. And yeah, if you get selected, then congrats. You will be able to file your H1B. I think it's in the same year of October. And if you didn't get selected, then you will wait for another year, or you will have to do something else. And this is actually, it's like probably the hardest part for most of the people, because the selection rate is very low. I think it was like 20% or something last year, but yeah, it's basically like the nightmare for people like me. And then coming from the last question, you'll probably be asking, so how many chances do you have? It's different case by case, and if you're like me who went to school in the United States, then you are qualified to work in the United States under a visa called the OPT. So that's basically like a type of work visa that allows you to work in the States after you graduate. And so basically everyone will have 1 year of OPT visa, so that means you can work in the state for a year after you graduate. But if you have a STEM degree like me, STEM is, I think, is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Yeah, so if you have a degree in these 4 fields, then you can apply for another thing called the OPT extension. So it will give you an work authorization for another 2 years. So basically for my case, I'm a software engineer, right? And I have a engineering degree. So I have the regular OPT and I have the OPT extension. That means I have 3 years of work authorization after I graduate. After I graduated from school. And we mentioned that the lottery happens once a year, right? So in these 3 years, I have 3 chances to draw the lottery. And yeah, so I have 3 chances to draw the lottery until my OPT expires. The best, or in the normal scenarios, you will get selected in these 3 years, and you will be able to successfully transfer from OPT to H1B. And then that's the best case, right? The normal case. And now we're going to part 2 of this whole thing, which is what do you do if you don't get H1B like me? Let's talk about the options for those people who are unlucky like me. So first, the first option is that you can get a master's degree if you don't already have one. If you get a master's degree, then you will be able to get another 3 years or 1 year of OPT after you graduate. But this option will not work for people who already have a master's degree, because I think OPT, so you can only get OPT once for a master and once for a bachelor's degree. Yeah. So basically, I don't have a master's degree, so that was my first option. So some of the company, they have satellite offices outside of the United States, and they would be willing to move you to another country. For most of the time, it will be Canada, because it's like near to the US, and you pretty much have like the same time zone. If you move to Vancouver, then that's the same time zone to like Seattle and Bay Area. So if you are at like a smaller companies, then this will probably not work. But if you are at a larger company, then that's, I think for like most of the larger company like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, they will be able to do it for you. Your company just like move you to an office location outside the United States, right? And you just wait there, and you can still be, you can continue drawing the H1B lottery. So if you get the H1B lottery when you are outside of the United States, then you'll be able to start the actual visa application process in October. And after you get the H1B, you'll be able to move back to the United States. And we will talk about this option more later, because that's the option I chose. And so we have like we have the last option, the third option, which is you can just work in another country. So if you don't really want to like work in the United States forever, then you can actually go to another country, right? That don't require this like dump H1B lottery process. Yeah, and so for me, I think software engineer is an application that will be like easier for you to find a position anywhere. And I think specifically if you are looking into to work in Europe, then I think Berlin and Amsterdam are 2 pretty good cities to start looking for jobs, because when I was like having this lottery thing issue going on, I also tried to apply to jobs in these 2 cities, and I actually got interviews from the company there, and they were all willing to sponsor the work visa in their countries. Okay, so now we're going to talk about what did I end up doing. If you have watched my previous vlogs, you will know that I moved to Vancouver this year. So yeah, so I ended up choosing option 2, and my company was willing to move me to Vancouver because they have Vancouver offices here. And yeah, let's talk about why did I end up deciding to move here. So basically for the first option, I didn't really feel like going back to school, and I didn't really want to like go to school for another 2 years or like 1 year just for like visa and stuff, because it doesn't really like fulfill the education purpose of like going to get a master. So I didn't feel like doing that. So option 1 was like it's like a no to me. Then option 3, I was like actually pretty interested in working in a country outside of United States, or I would say that outside of North America, because I wanted to like live and work in a different country to see what it is like. But since COVID made it extremely hard and unpredictable to like move around, right? So at the time I kind of like stepped outside and kind of like explored this option, because I did started the interviews and stuff in like for the jobs in Amsterdam and Berlin, but I ended up rejecting them because I didn't feel safe to travel or like move across the world over there during like the time that COVID was still very serious and like intense. So that was the reason why I didn't go for option 3. But I think if it wasn't for COVID, I would probably have chosen option 3. And since like I think most of the country is like going back to normal now, so I think option 3 is actually a pretty good option to consider if you're having a similar situation like I was before. Okay, so that's pretty much my story, and let's talk about what next. So I'm in Vancouver now, right? What next? So basically from a satellite offices to back to the offices in the States, you have like 2 options. The first option is what we have talked about, that you can keep drawing H1B lottery even if you are outside of United States. But as I have mentioned earlier, that I didn't get the H1 lottery for the 4th time, so I didn't get it this year. It's like I'm just very unlucky. So I think option 1 wouldn't work for me, even if I draw like 10 times or more. But luckily we still have like option 2, and option 2 is another type of work visa called the L1 visa. And basically I'm not like entirely sure what is the L1 visa about, but basically what my company told me was that if I stay in Canada for 365 days, then they will be able to start the process of applying for the L1 visa for me and eventually move me back to the States. So I think my plan now is to stay in Canada for a year and start the L1 visa process and move back to Seattle. So that's basically what I'm thinking right now. And yeah, and I think that's all I have for today. And feel free to comment below if you have any questions. And for people who are like having some other situation, or you're like very unlucky just like me, hang in there. You will find your way. Okay, great. And that's all for today. So thanks for watching, and please subscribe here or here. Okay, bye. Is that and what I'm going to talk about? Oh, 通信 B go B go B B B B. For how many chances do you have to get the H1B lotteries? And I'm like, and